Love and peace to you. This is a verbal discourse on the Welt Ethos. My name is Peter Johansson Osisi, and I work with the Asona Ashram. This is an introduction to teachings from Hinduism and the Bhagavad Gita regarding the second principle of our Welt Ethos, which is Ubuntu. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita of Hinduism, there are teachings of compassion, universal compassion, compassion for all beings, accepting even the joys and sorrows of others as our own. Within this, there is additional teaching, increasingly specific teaching regarding service, promoting the well-being of others, the responsibility that we have in caring for each other. And so all of this involves discipline. It involves modesty and moderation. And so one of the preliminary, one of the basic teachings that the Bhagavad Gita provides is to cultivate a discipline of moderation. And this pertains to spiritual practice, but it also pertains to our interaction with the material realm, with the universe. And so this is and through that moderation, there's increased propensity for that everybody has that same proficiency. So rather than engaging in excesses that tend to deprive others, it's a matter of maintaining moderation, and as well as abstaining from excessive deficiency within ourselves. It's a matter of, again, moderation. And this is a passage from the Bhagavad Gita that speaks to this effect. This is the Bhagavad Gita 6, 16 a 18, chapter 6, verse 16 through 18. Arjuna, those who eat too much or eat too little, who sleep too much or sleep too little, will not succeed in meditation. But those who are tempered in eating and sleeping, work and recreation, will come to the end of sorrow through meditation. Through constant effort, they learn to withdraw the mind from selfish cravings and absorb it in the self. Thus, they attain the state of union. That's the Bhagavad Gita 6, 16 a 17, chapter 6, verse 16 through 18. So again, it's a matter of instilling within ourselves a discipline of moderation, without excess, without deficiency, and through which we have the propensity, or increased propensity, for cooperation with others. Sri Krishna also further teaches that there being three basic characteristics that individuals have. The characteristic of wisdom, the characteristic of greed, and the characteristic of delusion. Those are rough translations of tamas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, respectively. And so there's the teaching of pursuing wisdom and even going beyond that, but going beyond delusion and greed, and the transgressions and the harm and the suffering that's caused through these. And so this is a passage that speaks to that effect. This is the Bhagavad Gita 14, 5 a 9, chapter 14, verse 5 through 9. It is the three gunas born of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, that bind the immortal self to the body. Sattva, pure, luminous, and free from sorrow, binds us with attachment to happiness and wisdom. Rajas is passion arising from selfish desire and attachment. These bind the self with compulsive action. Tamas, born of ignorance, deludes all creatures through heedlessness, indolence, and sleep. That is the Bhagavad Gita 14, 5 a 9, chapter 14, verse 5 through 9. So, again, it's a description of basic characteristics, tendencies that individuals have, and the guidance to cultivate a discipline that transcends these tendencies. Particularly considering in this case the tendency of greed, because much of the transgressions that is experienced through humanity is the consequence of selfish tendencies that we have, and so in overcoming those tendencies, and in providing for others, availing or allaying ourselves from those instincts of hoarding and conquest, conquest and hoarding. There is We are increasingly inclined towards sharing. We are increasingly comfortable with sharing, and so that specifically pertains to the characteristic referred to as rajas, or greed, the yearning for power and control. And this is another passage that speaks to that effect. Bhagavad Gita 14, 12 y 19, chapter 14, verse 12 and 9. When rajas predominates, a person runs about pursuing selfish and greedy ends, driven by restlessness and desire. The wise see clearly that all action is the work of the gunas. Knowing that which is above the gunas, they enter into union with me. That is the Bhagavad Gita 14, 12 y 19, chapter 14, 12 and 19. So, the Bhagavad Gita teaches that spiritual ascension involves going past these greedy tendencies, and cultivating universal compassion, cultivating an indifference even towards material phenomena, and instead concentrating on the highest nature of the universe: love, truth, compassion, and benevolence and peace. And so this is a further teaching that speaks to that process of transcending these primordial characteristics. This is the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, 22 y 26. They are unmoved by the harmony of sattva, the activity of rajas, or the delusion of tamas. They feel no aversion when these forces are active, nor do they crave for them when these forces subside. They remain impartial, undisturbed by the actions of the gunas. Knowing that it is the gunas which act, they abide within themselves and do not vacillate. Established within themselves, they are equal in pleasure and pain, praise and blame, kindness and unkindness. Clay, a rock, and gold are the same to them, alike in honor and dishonor, alike to friend and foe. They have given up every selfish pursuit. Such are those who have gone beyond the gunas. By serving me with steadfast love, a man or woman goes beyond the gunas. Such a one is fit for union with Brahman. For I am the support of Brahman, the eternal, the unchanging, the deathless, the everlasting Dharma, the source of all joy. That is the Bhagavad Gita 14, 22 y 26, chapter 14, verses 22 to 26. So again, it's a matter of transcending these tendencies of selfishness, and even becoming indifferent towards gold, and towards material riches, and even towards the favor or unfavor or disfavor of others, and maintaining a kind of a benevolent equanimity, a compassionate indifference. That strives towards the well-being of others, but is resilient amidst all circumstances, and thus maintains a certain constancy amidst that process of spiritual ascension. So these are some teachings regarding from Hinduism regarding the principle of Ubuntu within Hinduism, and so love and peace to you. Ananda Shanti.